Hello, everybody, and welcome to the long-awaited YouTuber Wars Episode 6 commentary. Now, I don't have much to say this time. All I say is what we're doing. We're going to be commentating on Episode 6. No random things about Fred. No random... Okay, it's that slightly related. Okay, you knew what I was going to say, good for you. But anyway, we're going to be commentating on Episode 6. I'll be giving my thoughts, pointing out what parts I liked, what parts I didn't like, what parts I would change if I did it again, and then after that, I'll do an analysis on the entirety of Season 1, the plot, characters, etc., and I don't really have much else to say, so without further ado, let's begin. Alright, it's just a run-of-the-mill disclaimer, Ethan Braden Productions video disclaimer. Oh yes, this one I find hilarious, because there's just those people who just keep spamming. Okay, we've already done the Episode 5 commentary, so we can skip over this. Well, I'm going to turn it down a little bit, because you don't need the music to be blasting. So basically what's going on here is they're coming out with the plans, pretty standard for YouTuber Wars, how the last couple episodes now, it started with just CFN planning, pretty much. That's how the last couple episodes have opened, if you've been paying attention to the series. Keep in mind, most of this plan gets scrapped. Keep in mind, parts of this plan get scrapped because Adresian side switches sides, so they actually join the Neo-Imperial forces, which is actually pretty helpful because at this point in the series, Adresian is pretty powerful. It's not like episode 11 where he's basically broken. Just a group of rebels after all. Indeed you are, weather coverage, but soon you'll be top 5 strongest countries. Okay, it's a little too fast, but I'll try to point out what I'm trying to point out. So I'll pause the video so I can point this out. The war slides are way too fast, okay? Here's the problem. So, the way I did war slides from episode 5 to episode 8 is I would... Hold on, I had a bit of a brain fart, sorry. This is not scripted at all. I am making this up as I go, which is why there's a lot of me stumbling over myself, being an idiot. But anyway, I made the war slides half a second. Problem being, I didn't change the transition length. What's the transition length I usually use? Half a second. So, it's like... It's on screen for like a split second, and then you don't see it. It's like... And then it goes on to the next thing, so it's like, too fast. I like the current war style. If you guys disagree, then you can let me know, but I like the 1 second, 5 second transition. It looks better. Like, it's not too slow, but it's not too fast at the same time. I think it's at least an improvement over this. So this is just a scene where Adresian's like, hey, morons, we're fighting with a communist. Maybe we should just switch sides. Yes, do it. We're the cool people. Wait, did he refer to it as just the Imperial forces? The Imperial forces are dead. I don't know why it's in the text box. The original Imperial forces, as you know, was disbanded in episode 4, so I don't know why. Maybe I just read it wrong. Yep, I refer to them as just the Imperial forces. Nah, whatever. It's just a minor nitpick. I'm too picky. Literally, no one else probably cares. I just noticed during this entire scene, there's just a bit of Ethan's army that's just oofed, encircled, and then part of weather coverage's force is also encircled. It's kind of interesting. There's just 2 encirclements going on while this conversation happens. Indeed, props to you, Colonel Integra appreciates. Really, who is it? I kind of low-key get a little frustrated at this part, because it's just such an error in the writing. Because in real life, Wolf Mapper, he's like a communist, but dare I say, he's not a cringe communist. He's like a conservative, moralistic communist, if that makes any sense. But still, it doesn't make sense that he would fight on the anti-communist side. But it's okay, I fixed my stupid error. So in episode 12, it's going to be revealed that Wolf Mapper was on Spaghetti's side, and that since season 2 began, the real Wolf Mapper has run the country, and it's now communist. That makes sense. Whatever the heck's going down here makes no sense. Unless I put in that explanation, which I probably will. Yeah, this is just an imposter Wolf Mapper. Let's just roll with that. Gotta love that salty radio with Steam music. Even just getting oofed on. Me who knows about the second Great YouTuber War. Yeah, I haven't seen nothing yet. Hey, be thankful. At least in this war, you aren't being attacked on all sides. Hey, idiots, I have the nuke now. You can stop complaining. Yeah, turn it down slightly again. Not the whole way. Yeah, that's good. There's some hope left. Indeed there is. Okay, that line was kind of funny. You gotta admit it. Aw, crap, we're dead. We're dead, he has nukes, we're all gonna die. Now we're gonna try our stupid Imperial Trail Offensive, which completely backfires because it was the stupidest plan of all time. Okay, I'm not a military strategy expert by any means, despite how much I play, like, turn-based military strategy games, but, like, I could tell you that sending your entire army to one area is a dumb idea if you have several fronts. Okay, so this is a random thing to note, but I just realized how weird it is to look at this map and Matthew not be there. And it just looks like there's like an awkward gap between empires you're mapping and Britain. But that's not really a criticism, that's just kind of something I noticed. Way to go, Kami. You're playing with suicide. Oh, they're going Sayori mode. Bombs away. See, if you didn't already take note of this, the writing is a lot more basic in Season 1. Like, in Episode 12, if this was Episode 11, say Episode 11 quality writing, this would be this whole thing about Colonel Tegra getting the nukes, and then Spaghetti trying his last ditch offensive, and then just getting nuked in response. That would probably be a whole 10 minutes, but since it's Season 1 quality writing, which is a weird in-between between the later episodes of YouTuber Wars and my future Europe Season 2 in terms of quality, it's not really to that level yet. The entire episode is only 10 minutes, including the intro, outro, and little previously on YouTuber Wars clip. Stop you from making your links. I'm not a dumbass. Good point. Good point. I made multiple new... So this is basically just the nation equivalent of we like to troll. It's called we do a little trolling. You know, in proportion to video length, we're actually doing pretty good about not rambling. Hey, idiot, I destroyed your entire army. How do you think you're gonna win? You'll be destroyed. Yeah, so the rating isn't entirely there yet, but you can tell I'm trying. Like, okay, so if you want my opinion, I know I'm not the most objective person in the world entirely, because I made it, so I'm a little biased, but it's like, in my opinion, episodes 1 through 4, those were like beginner level rating. Like, there wasn't much detail to them. Like, it wasn't like an abundance of filler, but at the same time, it wasn't like there was like a whole lot of detail either. Things just kind of happened, and it wasn't entirely explained why some of the time, but it wasn't necessarily filler either. It just didn't really explain good enough at that time. And in episodes, I'd say like 5 through 9, no, episodes 5 through 8, that's like a little bit better in quality. Like, it has like more detail. There's like more depth to the plot, but it's still like relatively basic. And then like episodes 9 and 10, I'd say that's like in the middle. It's like, there's like a good amount of depth, but it's like, there's still like not enough. Do these explanations make any sense? Basically what I'm saying is, episodes 1 through 4 were the lowest in terms of rating quality, episodes 5 through 8 were in the middle, episodes 9 through 10 were slightly higher, and episodes 11 onwards are actually pretty decent in my opinion. That opinion is subject to change, because I'm always improving the series. Like, at one point I thought episode 6 was like the best thing ever, and now I think it's just alright. Okay, yeah, so this was a dumb idea. We're not gonna win anymore, so how about we just leave? It's basically what they're saying. Okay, this is probably like, it was like, this part of the episode aged the worst in my opinion. It was like, when I first made it, I thought it was pretty decent, but now, knowing, okay, yeah, you remember that whole spiel at the beginning of the episode 5 commentary about how if one of these YouTubers gets exposed for doing something bad, it's on them and it's a reflection on them and not on me. Yeah, that's kind of the case with Creepy Produce here. He was exposed for something, and now it just feels really awkward to see him fighting on my side, on the quote unquote good guys side, even though I'd argue there isn't really any true good guys. It's just a series is mainly from Colonel Integra's perspective, so it's a little slanted. But it's kind of awkward seeing him fight on our side. By the way, he does die in episode 12 because I don't want to continue writing him into the series. Plus, my ideas for episode 13 kind of depend on him not being there. So, yeah. Basically, Cheesy Milk's going to convince him to join our side. Now, if I was writing this now, I'd probably just either have him die or just have him surrender. You know, I really do not know how loud I'm being. Maybe I'll have to turn up my audio once I edit it. Why do you choose the side of the comedy? What has he even done for you? Good question. Other than sharing the goal of wanting to kill Cheesy Milk, they don't really have anything in common. See, this scene, okay, so not only is the whole thing I just pointed out 30 seconds ago factor, but also this scene just doesn't make logical sense. That this scene just, either this scene or the scene in episode 9 just makes no sense. Because if Creepy Produce is on their side here, why would he be against them again in episode 9? Like, I guess Creepy Produce just wants his land back that bad, and he didn't he learned his lesson, but that's not really entirely explained. I'm not sure which part of the writing failed here, the writing in episode 9 or the writing here, because I knew Creepy Produce wasn't going to be on their side forever when I wrote this, I'm pretty sure. Either that or I thought he was just going to stay neutral from this point forward. Speaking of neutrality, complaint number 547, half the countries in season... I know I'm going to have a whole section where I analyze season 1, but I don't care. I'm saying it here, and I'll probably say it again there, because it's one of my main criticisms of season 1, and I think some people have actually given me this criticism, and I accept it, because it's true. Half the countries don't do crap. Countries don't do crap. I tried to fix this in season 2 by making the commentary YouTubers, Bruminati. I brought the PokeTubers back into the plot. I tried to do something with Mr. Tinkleton, although it didn't really work that well because he's kind of isolated, so you're kind of limited in how you could write him in without making it. So basically, every time I include him, it's just filler. But I'm also trying to do more of like Polyhedron, a whole lot of people. You get the point. But here, I just kind of worked with the 10 countries I already set up earlier in the season, so, like, okay then. Doom, 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 doom. You know, every time that music plays, this is the first time in series it plays, so this will be the first time you find the joke in the comment section, but every time that music plays, I just think of that scene from episode 3 of Salty Ray, where it's just, they're fighting over this briefcase, and Rose Anderson / Rita Revant, whatever you want to call her, she just shows up, and she's like, the bright blue meteor of hope is here, or something like that. Okay, before that, she like gives like this whole speech about how, basically it went like, this world sucks, and some people need to save it, and I'm one of those people. She shows up, she gets in an epic fight with Salty, which she eventually wins, and yeah, just watch the episode. I already linked the entire series in the comments, so there is a bug right now on Funimation's website where it says it's not available in the United States, but if you get to the actual episode link, like if you manually type in the episode link with like the subtitle and stuff, you could still watch the episode, so it's a weird glitch. But anyway, this is actually the first time this video, I'm proud of myself, this is the first time I've gone like severely off topic. Wow. Let's make it the last. And welcome to the first Country Ball animation officially in the series, and not in some awkward part 2 of an episode. This is like straight up in an episode. Well, look who we have here. Kami, you have 2 choices. Surrender will discuss the terms or will arrest you. If you try to escape, you'll shoot you. You know, this actually isn't horrible, although the shadow on the desk is a little messed up. You can see my animations have improved a little bit because there's like no wall texture. You might have noticed in History of Glory episode 3 and the Country Ball animation I did related to YouTuber Wars, there's a wall texture. I think it looks a little better. But my main criticism of this is I was an idiot. I forgot to save a PDN of the spaghetti file, the spaghetti Country Ball file. So when I did him in episode 11, when I did the scene in episode 11 with Port Sayori and like there was the country balls in the text box, I had to do a PDN for him so I could have him have different expressions instead of just this angry face looking straight into the camera constantly. Fine, I surrender. I have no real choice right now. Let's all meet in the Lakeside City. Okay, yeah. For the record, okay, so Lakeside City was like the first like city I came up with for a series, and it's the capital of weather coverage, if you didn't know. It was part of Ethan Braden Productions, but it fell under siege. Okay, you've seen the series. Why am I explaining this? But you could tell that I've got like more creative with the names. Like Lakeside City, I mean that's kind of just what it is. So let's stop rambling about city names and let's read the treaty. Article 1. Empire's Europe Mapping will annex the western half of Germanic gaming and a small part of Kai Gamers' northwestern land. Okay, fair enough, although it does make the borders look really weird. Article 2. The eastern half of Germanic Gamings will be renamed to Germanic Studios and will become a puppet of Empire's Europe Mapping. Okay, Empire's Europe Mapping, expanding his hegemony in the east. Got it. Okay. Talia Mapping and Wolf Mapper will annex some of Creepy Produce's northern lands. Basically, the next three conditions in the treaty are just punishing the crap out of Creepy Produce. He gets out war reparations, though, because he switched sides before the cutoff. Weather coverage will annex Spaghetti's northwestern lands, including the Lakeside City, the one that was besieged in the First War and where this treaty's being signed. Yes, I know about the Lakeside City. I wrote the thing. Anyway, weather coverages and weather coverage, Colonel Integra, and Ethan Arbor's borders are a little weird, so I kind of like make up stuff about the world as I go, so it's like not everything exists initially, like the I can't speak. The Violet River did not exist when I made this episode. I didn't think of that concept till like episode 10, so the borders are a little past the Violet River, which looks a little weird, but don't question it. Ethan Arbor and Colonel Integro split the rest of Western Spaghetti. Okay, so they're basically just splitting what remains of the Lakeside Province, plus some random areas east of the Violet River, which I don't get. Well, I do get because the concept didn't exist yet, but once the concept exists, it makes slightly less sense. Northeastern Spaghetti will be occupied by Colonel Integra, Shifter, and Empire Mapping for 10 years. Hold on, let me do a little freaking math. Okay, so this is year 23, meaning 10 years later it'd be year 33. My plan for episode 12 is to have the second great YouTuber war end in the year 31. So, and Spaghetti will have all that land at the end of the war. So, I guess the Port Ryan Conference, which will be the treaty that ends the second great YouTuber war, will just cancel out this treaty. Let's just roll with that explanation. Okay, the remnants of the pre-revolutionary government led by Monica Laughingface will be installed in the rest of Spaghetti's land. Yeah, kind of can't do that this time around, because Monica's kind of dead, but here it worked, because Monica wasn't dead yet, she was just in exile, presumably in Fred City, which, if you don't know, that is the capital of Colonel Integra / the northern provinces of Ethan Braden Productions. All right. Spaghetti will be imprisoned. He might be exiled to the neutral lands or executed after some time. Well, he was exiled to the neutral lands, but that plan kind of backfired, so yeah. Okay. The Imperial forces will be reestablished. Yeah, I already know who's in the Imperial forces. You don't have to explain it. Okay, I already know all this, because I wrote it, so why do I even comment that I already know this? Of course I already know this. I wrote the thing. Okay. Article 12. All nations officially on Spaghetti's side as of July 1st, 23 will pay war reparations. So basically just the northeastern countries and Spaghetti himself. Because the northeastern countries didn't switch sides, they just surrendered. Yeah, so the treaty is just like that. Okay, this last scene is actually my favorite part of the episode because it's the best rating-wise, which, I mean, I know that's not really saying a lot, because this scene's like 30 seconds, but I still think it's pretty decent. No problem, but I never would have done it without help from my allies. That's true, but I'm just glad the war is over. You guys mind if I make a statement? Go ahead. Okay. Now that we have won, it is important that we try to make this continent better. Now is not the time for more wars. The Imperial forces should create a plan for economic recovery. The purpose of this alliance should be to help other nations. Okay, so the text is a little fast, but basically what it's saying is, how about instead of being imperialist warmongers like we were at the beginning of the series, let's actually try to change things around and actually try to be helpful and try to help the economy of the world and stuff like that. It's basically saying, let's be a little more peaceful. Realizes the anti-imperial coalition, the anti-imperial compact, the anti-AIC war, which that name sounds really dumb when you realize that AIC stands for anti-imperial compact, so it's basically the anti-imperial compact war. But that's like in like 2 years, so it's like so much for that. So much about peace that in 2 years you'll be dropping like 8 nukes on a small country. Look at you, Ethan. I must ask, who's with this? Oh, you're not sneaky. I noticed that me. So here's the thing. So sometimes if a country has like a little part to it, I forget to color it in. So like with Colonel Integra, I'll forget to color in the occupation zone, or if Empire's Europe mapping, sometimes I forget to color in his colonies. And with like weather coverage, episode 9 especially, I sometimes would like forget to color in his like northern colony, like his little northern province near Matthew. I must ask, who's with us? We are. And that is the end of the episode, but not the end of the video. Are you prepared for a 45-minute Ethan Braden Productions rambling commentary video? No, you are not, but you're gonna Alright guys, this is Braden, now here with the analysis section of this video. So we are going to be talking about YouTuber Wars Season 1, as you've already figured out by the title of the video. So I am going to be analyzing certain elements of YouTuber Wars Season 1 and giving them a rating. So we have 5 categories: plot, music, characters, graphics, and dialogue. Then we have the overall rating. So without further ado, let's begin. Oh, and by the way, I have taken notes in advance, so hopefully I don't ramble as much. But anyway, let's begin. So let's start with the plot. So the plot, I say it's about 7 out of 10. Okay. It's a fairly simple plot, very basic plot. You've probably seen it in many other mapping videos. Strong country is the quote-unquote good guy, but then evil country shows up, and evil country tries to kill good guy. Yeah, it's kind of cliche, but cliches exist for a reason. Oftentimes, they just work. Sometimes they're stupid, but sometimes they work. And I tried to put a new spin on it, but my real gripes with the plot is that it's almost too simple. There's nothing really super, I don't want to sound like an edgy mapper, but there's just not a lot to it. It's almost too straightforward. And some things that happen are either stupid or not well explained. For example, of something that's stupid, the whole Cheesy Milk and Ethan Braden Productions invading Creepy Produce thing and somehow winning, that was kind of stupid. Once I do remastered, I'll probably make it the other way around and make it so Creepy Produce invades Cheesy Milk and Ethan Braden Productions, which will make sense once you see Origins. So that's kind of stupid. But an example of something that's not very well explained is the whole, for example, the PokeTuber War. It's not really explained. Oh, I guess Adreesian putting a stop to the PokeTuber War would count as something stupid as well. But the PokeTuber War, how Ethan Braden Productions managed to blitzkrieg a country with higher manpower that fast, isn't really explained. Like, if I was writing it now, I'd probably give more of an explanation. I'd say, oh, they have really good tanks, or at least something like that. But you don't get any of that. You just get Ethan Braden Productions strong because plot. And as I've already mentioned, it's not a very in-depth plot. I'll be covering this more once I talk about the characters, but there's not a lot of character development yet. Yeah, there's just not a lot to this. And as to music, oh, I do not like the music. It's a 5 out of 10. It's just very repetitive. I use the same. So I kind of have this problem now, but I especially had it back then, where I would just use the same Kevin MacLeod and Bleach OST tracks over and over again and didn't really expand my horizons at all. I've tried to do better about this, but it was really bad here. So that got pretty old, and I used way too much Kevin MacLeod. Kevin MacLeod's just already overused in general, so I wouldn't recommend using it often. I sometimes use it now when I need filler music for a part of the video where I just don't know what to put. But other than that, I try to avoid it now. There's just way too much of it here. It's a solid 80% of the tracks are Kevin MacLeod, and it just gets kind of old. And there is some more variety. To give myself credit where it's due, there is some more variety in music near the end. You start to get Salty Ray OST a little bit. I think there was some more Bleach OST near the end. You know, that sort of thing. It wasn't just Kevin MacLeod the entire time almost. Plus one Bleach OST song in the video. It wasn't just like that. Anyway, so that's a 5 out of 10. The characters, they're 6 out of 10. I wouldn't say they're horrible. I wouldn't say they're abysmal. I'll definitely have to do some work in remastered because they are very one note. It's they get one character trait and that's about it. Spaghetti, he's just kind of, and this kind of carried on into season 2 a little bit. I've tried to fix it lately, but he's kind of just the one note bad guy, the evil communist who wants to kill all the quote unquote good guys who aren't really that good in season 1 if you really dissect what they're doing. I mean, yeah, you remember what I said in the Armchair Commander on a Projector video that the Violet Army committed war crimes during the Anti-Imperial Forces War? That wasn't a joke. You never hear about that, because the series is in Colonel Integra's perspective, for the most part. So you only hear things from their perspective. And their perspective is, we good guy. I've tried to stray away from this line of thinking a little bit of just making the quote-unquote protagonist just always the good guy, like with no development. I mean, the problem is none of the characters just have really any traits beyond good guy or bad guy. It's not even what I was saying about Colonel Integra low-key being like kind of gray a little bit. It's just that all the characters are very one-note. I know I've kind of been repeating this for like the past minute now, but I'm trying to get this point across. There's just like not much character development until like the very end. Like there's some development with, I think, like Colonel Integra and weather coverage maybe slightly near the end. Like how they don't want to just, like Colonel Integra just doesn't want to conquer people for no reason anymore. They just want to be peaceful and help people. I kind of like that. That's a good example of some character development. But other than that, there's not really a lot to it. The characters are introduced with like one personality trait, and for the most part, that's pretty much it. That's all I really have to say about the characters. Now it's on to the graphics, which this will probably be a short section because I just don't really care as much about the graphics than other people might. But I'd say it's like a 6 out of 10. Like, I don't really like the Season 1 map that much because the resolution was just too low. It was just normal high definition. And I was using 2 pixel borders, so all the countries look super small. Which I don't like that. But it's not horrible. Maybe the map texture is should be a little more transparent, but other than that, it wasn't that bad. The country ball animations have definitely improved, though. Like, just compare the episode 5 I just draw them a lot better now. Like, if you look at the Port Sayori City Hall scene in YouTube Wars episode 11, and then you look at the YouTube Wars related country ball animation I made like a week ago, you could just see the difference. There's a big difference in like the drawing style and whatnot, other than the country balls themselves, because I like those country balls. I like the like hand-drawn aesthetic I've been going for with like the art style and everything. I like that. The problem was that the drawing I did was just like way too simplistic back then. Like I used the line tool a lot, which I kind of try to stay away from now because it just looks kind of lazy in my opinion. But the map wasn't horrible. Like, it definitely could be improved, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. It just needed to be 4K, and the map texture was not transparent enough, in my opinion. So, that's a 6 out of 10. Oh, and lastly, the dialogue. It's also a 6 out of 10. Like, it's not the worst thing of all time, but at the same time, it's not really that unique. It's mostly pretty generic lines, like just countries talking about run-of-the-mill mapping things that you could probably find in every mapping series ever. Like, the thing is, there's just not a lot of lines that actually, like, stick out to me. It's like, I think, like, the Colonel Integra's quote about, like, the Torch of Liberty or whatnot, that's kind of memorable, and Weather Coverage's speech at the end of episode 6. But other than that, there wasn't many super memorable lines that, like, if you just asked me to quote something from YouTuber Wars, I would tell you. Like, it was mostly just pretty generic. It wasn't horrible, though. So, the overall rating, if my math is correct, so the overall tally, added up to 30, and then there's 5 categories, so divide that by 5, and I got 6. So this series is overall a 6 out of 10, which, it's like a failing grade. If we're putting this in the context of school, that's like a failing grade, but it's like not super far from passing. So it's like, this series, like, you could tell I was trying to do something cool. I just wasn't entirely there yet. I had just gotten done with Alternate Future Europe Season 2. I just discontinued that series. As a matter of fact, I think I was planning to continue that series up until, like, I was doing, like, episode 5 of YouTuber Wars. It was crazy. But that series, if you've seen that series, it is not written well at all. Part of it is because the fact that 2016 me just didn't care and just did whatever he wanted. And then by the time I started to do Season 2 for some reason, I was just kind of stuck with a crappy template, pretty much. I was stuck with I did not get a clean slate. The slate had blue markers scribbled all over it, if that makes any sense. Yeah, just roll with my stupid analogies, okay? So, yeah, I just got done writing that, which is not a good series. And you could kind of see its influence in, like, the earlier episodes. Like, I can definitely see it. But, like, episodes 5 and 6, I would say those were definitely an improvement. If you want me to recommend any of this series, I would recommend just watching Remastered whenever it comes out, and then watch. But you can, I wouldn't. I'd recommend you check out the series just to see how far a ways I have come in just the past year or so. But I would genuinely recommend episode 5 and 6 if you just want a decent mapping video that isn't just like mindless entertainment. Like, if you just want a decent mapping video to watch because you're bored, I would say episodes 5 and 6 are decent quality, but episodes 1 through 4, they're only good if you're like truly in the camp of like mapping is just what I watch when I'm like super bored. Like, you're not meant to take it super seriously, but I would say objectively speaking, episodes 5 and 6 are better. Does that make any sense? I've kind of been trying to explain that for like 30 seconds now, because everything I explain is super slow. But anyway, well, you guys get the point. YouTube War Season 1, Season 2, commentary and analysis, maybe coming soon. I don't know. I only like to do these videos when everyone's busy doing something else so they don't bug me and like, hey, who are you talking to? I'm recording a video, jeez. But like, okay, so that's all I have to say for today. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. If it was crap, please dislike. I know YouTube removed the feature and you have to use like advanced and stuff if you want to actually see dislikes anymore. But that's besides the point. YouTube is stupid. Braden, out. Peace, my Violent Army veteran comrades.